Hello and welcome. My name is Dr. Christopher Gennari. This is a great big history series, great big history podcast series. This is History 150, Episode 1, Introduction to Leadership in History. It's the introduction to our new series, our new class. So, we start with, hello. Thank you for joining. I hope you enjoy. So, my name is Dr. Christopher Gennari. I'm a full professor of history. I've been at Camden County College since 2007. My PhD is in European military history with a specialty in Scandinavia, Swedish, and Finnish military history from the 17th century. And I received that from the State University of New York at Stony Brook. My book, Invasion, Insurgency, and Interventions, Sweden's Wars in Poland, Prussia, and Denmark, 1654 to 1658. So, yeah. So, hopefully, for the first time in my college teaching career, which has been 20 years long, I'll finally get to actually talk about some of the stuff in my dissertation, some of the principles of leadership from my dissertation. Because what is the purpose of this class? The purpose is to learn the principles of leadership through analysis of successful and failed leaders in the past. The goal is to make you a leader in your everyday life, as a boss, as a colleague, as a partner, in your friendships, is to be proactive in your own life. A secondary goal is to make you a good citizen by recognizing the qualities of good leadership and citizenship, recognizing poor, bad, or evil leaders and followership, because we're going to talk a lot about followers. If you're going to be an evil leader, if you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons, you know this. You can't be a cult leader without the cult followers. So we're going to talk about followers as well. And the purpose of this class is to help you achieve your goals. You don't want to be a regular person. You've come to Camden County College. You're in college. You want to be a leader of people. Maybe it's an entrepreneur. Maybe it's political. But whatever you want to be, it's not a nobody. You want to be a somebody, and you know you want to be a somebody. And this class is there to help you, because that's where the money is. You want to be a $150,000 employee, you won't be a follower. You'll be a leader. You want to build a successful business, you need to know how to lead. That's why so much of leadership scholarship is business. It's not politics anymore. It's not history. And so this class came out of an article I read in The Atlantic a couple of years ago, which was that what students really want, the reason they are leaving the humanities, the reason why they're taking STEM classes, science and technology classes, rather than humanities classes, is they don't feel the humanities classes will help them with their goals in the business world. And what they really want to know is how to be a good leader, how to be a good manager, how to have something on their resume that offers their excellent ability to make something better. And I read this article and said, heck, we in history do that. We have any example you want that the business department can think of, we have in history. We have everything from Alexander the Great to Carnegie to Elon Musk to Julius Caesar to Napoleon to Gustavus Adolphus to Cleopatra and everybody. Jane Austen as a writer. Everybody. We got everybody. We've got Black Lives Matter and ACT UP and the Civil Rights Movement and SNCC. We got it all. We have got it all in history. And so, in some ways, this is an old school class, because old school history was trying to teach a very select small group of individuals how to run the country. And so they learned Greeks and they learned the Romans. If you went to Princeton or Columbia or Harvard any time between, like, before 1950, 1955, like, that's what you got. You got elite people in a class being taught by a knowledgeable specialist professor how to be leaders. And so that's what we're doing here. We're bringing the history back. Cue Justin Timberlake. Okay. So how are we going to do that? Well, we got a textbook. We have to have a textbook. So we have a textbook. Textbook readings, and you'll have short answer quizzes. There are study guides that are already on the Canvas website. You download those, and what you do is you start at page 1 of the chapter. In fact, in the study guide, I literally tell you what page, because it's not always clear where the chapters begin. You'll see, but there's no like giant chapter 1. So there's a 1, and you'll be like, oh, on page 8. But there's other interstitials and things like that. So, but you'll know when it ends because the end notes show up. All the references show up. This is a very theoretical. Well, it's a theoretical book. It's a good college level theory book. It's a good 150 to 300 level book. It's not hard to read. That's why I chose it. There's not a lot of history leadership books out there. That a lot of them just go right into business and management. So this is a good one. But I like the theory. It doesn't just do names and dates. It doesn't just do this king, then this king, then this king, then this president. It does different topics, and it jumps around. It's very good on imperial China, ancient China, dynastic China, I should say. But it brings in Islamic caliphates. It's of course got a Western heavy usage of Europe and America, but it does deal with world leadership. And so, but it deals with it not timeline-wise. It deals with it by topic, theory-wise. And so it's good. There's a lot of references to philosophers, and the end notes will be very good for you to go do your own future readings and research as you go on, as you leave Camden County College and go on into Rowan or Rutgers or Stockton or any other school. And especially if you do graduate work, like you want to get your MBA or your master's in politics or history, the end notes will be very good for you. They're very good end notes. It is a well detailed book. So that's why I chose it. It's a book you keep. So if I'm going to make you buy something, you should at least get use out of it past the class. This is the way I kind of feel about it. The second is class video lectures. You are literally watching one, the first one, and we will have 2 essay exams about every 5 weeks or so. The dates have already been put up in the Canvas. So we'll have a bunch of lectures and then an essay exam that kind of discusses those what you're learning from those lectures. And then we'll have part 2, which will be a different group of lectures. So, And then what happens is test 2 will discuss lessons learned. And that's kind of what they'll be on. They'll be like lessons learned. What did you learn from these? Like, it's not going to be like, tell me the exact, this is a class that you get out of it what you want to get out of it. And you apply it the way you want to apply it. And in doing so, you demonstrate you understand. The real thing, if you want to know how your grade is based, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, it's, do you understand what you're talking about? That's basically how it is. So there's these 2 tests, and then there's a final thing. And the final thing is a final paper, but the final paper is cumulative. It's going to ask you to take stuff from all over the class. So you're not stuck with just the last, say, 5 weeks. If test 1 is on the first 5 weeks and test 2 is on the second 5 weeks, test 3 it's a paper, and it's going to be a cumulative paper. And it's going to ask you to take stuff from part 1, part 2, and part 3. And the part I'm excited about is the digital presentation. When we do a conference, when I go to a conference and I present my writing, when I present an article, there's an audience and I sit there and I present. And sometimes you use PowerPoint or some people just read, which is kind of boring, but that's the old school way of doing it. That's the people who would do it that are what they're looking for is advice right before they publish, right before they send it in to get published. So they're looking for like little notes and stuff. That's why they're reading. Other people present because they're going to use it for classes, or they're going to use it, or they're working it out as an article kind of thing, or they just don't want to read, and so they'd rather be a little more flamboyant about it. But this is professional. This is what we do. We go to conferences and we talk to other peers, other professionals who know what we're talking about our ideas. And if we're in a History 150 class, I think we should do that. Personally, I would love this class to be in person. The problem is that we only have about 10 to 15 people in it. And so if it was in person or had a meeting time, it might not carry. And so we're kind of stuck with this. But one of the problems is that this is a class that really works better when there's a lot of ideas, when a lot of people are sitting here. That it shouldn't be a passive class. But online is passive. Like the other problem is like, you could go, we'll have discussion boards. Like everyone starts when they do their online classes, and they're like, I will do discussion boards and we'll have a weekly. And then you see what the students do. And what the students do is you start with a question and you go, and someone says, Jesus was a great leader. And then you get 8 people who go, I agree. They don't really participate. They do it because they're told they have to. But the fact that you're not in the same place, it's like listening, it's like watching a concert. I'm a fan of the band The National. And there is a vast, vast difference between watching a concert that they put on YouTube and seeing one in person. The energy is just different. The reaction is just different. And so this class is really a class that should be in person, but it's not. So without wanting to be a pain and not wanting to be like, let's just make interactive work just for the act of making interactive work, let's actually create something. And so since this is the age of TikTok and the age of YouTube, we're going to create some kind of digital presentation. I don't have everything worked out, but what you're going to do is record yourself, or in some way, you're going to submit a video document in some way of your paper. which means also it should be good work. You should put your time into it. And because it's cumulative, you're able to use the stuff that you were thinking about, you were making in the first test and the second test, and bring it over. Your ideas, not the same work. You can't use the same work. Like, you can't just copy and paste and move it over. But those ideas are still valid. Ideas don't go away. And so that paper has two parts to it. One is the paper you'll submit to me, but also the presentation. So, and that's what we do as professionals. So what the class is trying to do is to professionalize your work, to get you ready for doing high-end, awesome work in the future. So that when you go to Rutgers or Rowan and they're like, "Oh, you have to write an essay." You're like, "No problem." When they say, "Oh, you have to do a presentation and present in front of the class," you're like, "No problem." When they say, "Oh, would you like to go to this conference?" You say, "Of course I would." Because you've done it and you know it. And we're in a safe space. So, as long as you do your own work, we're good. So, should you use generative AI? And the answer is no. Just don't do it. Don't go to ChatGPT. Don't go to Gemini. Don't even go to Grammarly. Like, don't, because the grammar, I have to understand what you're talking about. This idea that, I'm going to use AI because I can't write. Yes, you can. If you can speak in a complete sentence, you can write. We're not talking 19th century, stylistic guides. We're talking noun, verb, predicate. That's it. Very Hemingway, very journalism. Keep it simple. Noun, verb, predicate. So you don't need any of that stuff. And you certainly don't need everything you need to get an A++ in this class is in the class. I'm not going to ask you anything to go outside. Anything. It's a hermetically sealed class. In fact, you get punished if you go outside, because why are you going outside? What are you trying to do? If you're going outside the class, it's because you haven't done the work inside. And you should get punished for that, because you're not doing the work I'm asking you to do. You're trying to fake it with work, with stuff from other places. Everything you need to get an A++ is in the textbook and the provided lectures. And I am here to work with you. There's 10 people in the class. We should be working together. There's plenty of time for us to get to know each other, for us to do early drafts, for us to work ideas off of each other. Well, not off of each other, but for you to work ideas off of me and go, "What do you think of this? How am I doing that? Is this working?" Like, that's what we're here for. That's the level of education and interaction we're here for if you want to. So using generative AI, including Grammarly, is a replacement for the building of brain power and communicative skill learning, which is the point of why we're here. And it's a leadership class. Come on. It's a leadership class, and you need to show leadership. Your work should reflect that leadership. And besides, here's the secret. AI is bad. It's D-level writing. It's vague. It's not specific. It won't know the material from the class at all. It doesn't know the question. Even if you tell it the question, it doesn't know the question in the context of the class. So, be a leader and do your work. Because if you do your work, then you're learning the skills. You're building the muscles for you to do better in the future. If you use AI now, you're going to have to use AI later. Like, put it this way. If you were in a carpentry class and you hired a carpenter to make your birdhouse, did you learn anything? Even if you got an A, did you get your money's worth? Did you learn how to make a birdhouse? Or did you just use someone else's labor to replace your own work? And if it's that, are you really better off? So great, you spent money to learn to build a birdhouse. You didn't learn to build a birdhouse. You still spent money. You left the class poorer in money with no increase in skills. Does that make any sense to you? It shouldn't. When I go into a Best Buy and I pluck down $500, you better believe I walk out with the thing I spent $500 on. I don't pluck down $500 and go, yeah, I don't want anything, and just walk out. Like, that would be silly. So just do the work I'm asking you to do and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. So what should you do? If you shouldn't use AI, what should you do? Read the syllabus. It will be up on Canvas. It will be up on Canvas. It will be there. It's the rules of the class, right? Get the quiz study guides. And then read the corresponding textbook chapters. So most quizzes are 2 chapters. Some might be 3 because one of those chapters is like 10 pages. And so you read the corresponding chapters, answer the questions. The questions aren't mixed up. On the quiz, they'll be in sections. So all the questions will not go in order. Like the chapter 2 questions will not go in order on the quiz as they are in the study guide. They'll be mixed up. But all of the chapter 2 questions will be together. So you'll do whatever it is, 10 chapter 2 questions, and then the chapter 3 questions will begin. They'll be in their own separate section, but you'll have I'm just using numbers because different quizzes are going to be different because the different chapters are different lengths. So I'd like to get about 20 questions in every quiz. But they'll be together, just not in order. There'll be randomized order, but by chapter, they'll be in their own section. So chapter 2 questions will all be together, and then you'll hit a chapter 3 question, and that will be the start of the chapter 3 questions. And then you'll have all chapter 3 questions. Do you see how that kind of works? Watch the class lectures. I'm putting them up as we speak. I'm making them and I'm putting them up. Take notes, especially on the theories, the principles, the examples. How do they fit into your concept of leadership? What are you learning? What's a good idea? What's a bad idea? How did limitations, advantages, what disadvantages do we see? Nobody is perfect. And every situation is within its own context. So how would you want to lead? And in what context? Where do you see yourself leading? When the time comes, and you'll always have a couple of days in which to start and finish the quiz. And once you start it, you have to finish them. They're going to be timed. But once you start them, you have to finish them. But you'll have like 4 days to choose when you want to start it. And once you start it, then you finish it. The essays you'll submit. There'll be a text box, and you'll submit it. I'll get you the questions, the test question kind of early, because I want we could do you make it up at the time, but that's kind of silly. That's asking for AI. So I say here, develop something. What I want you to do is take the time and develop things. So there's not going to be any surprises. You're going to have everything there, and you're going to have time for everything. So, so write the essays, prep and then deliver the presentation, and you get victory. So you prep everything, you do the work to prep, then you do the thing, succeed, move on to the next thing. Done. Okay, so rules. 1, don't cheat. Just don't cheat. Don't cheat. This is a History 150. This is a class where everyone could get an A. That's what we could be. This is a class where everyone could get an A. That doesn't mean you need to get an A on everything. That's not how A's work, right? An A nobody cares about the C or the B or the 80 or the 82 or the 75 on the test, on test 2, right? It's where it ends up. So you don't have to have A. It's where you end up. It's the average. So you'll be fine, right? So don't cheat and don't use AI. Don't claim, and this is what cheating is, and this is why you can't use AI, is it's claiming someone else's work, something else's work as your own. Do good work and you'll do well. You will be judged on the quality of your work. And I am happy to help you. I am here to help you. You just have to ask for the help. If you don't ask, I will assume you don't want it. Not that you don't need it, but you don't want it. And you're an adult. You can make your own choices. Because one of your things that I want you to also learn is, I should have gone and talked to the teacher. Which is number 2, communicate. I am here to be a teacher, a guide, and a mentor. Which means, to go back to the end, to point 1 is, cheating just breaks my heart. You lose my respect. Because this is not that important. The important thing is the skill. It's the work. It's the building of the muscle. It's the building of your brain. I get paid no matter what grade you get. And you get the education you want, whether you paid or not. So, it's not that important. The learning is important. The building of the muscles is important. The reps are important, just like going to the gym. The doing is the important, not the result. Failure is a good thing. We're going to learn that in this class. Failure, you go, what did I learn? What should I do? Maybe I don't have enough time. Maybe I work too much outside of school. Right? Failure is a learning activity. So I am here to teach, guide, and mentor. That's what I'm paid for. This is a small class and you are advanced students. So it's meant to help you be A students to wherever you transfer. You should leave here with skills that put you on par or better than everyone else in the class wherever you go. You go to Villanova, you should be an A student in a history class in Villanova or in a humanities class in Villanova. That's what I'm here for. So talk to me about anything that will help you. We can email, we could have meetings, we could talk in person, we can Zoom, whatever will be of help. That's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm paid for. 3, if you've logged in to the Canvas, you may have already seen this. This is a brand new class, and it's being created as we speak. Material will be posted as soon as it's ready, as soon as I can get it up, and I will outpace the pace of the class. So, and I know it's a new class. See, I know you're the first students to ever take this version of the class. So it's an experiment. So it's okay. So don't worry. That's why the cheating and the AI is such an important part. It's like, don't worry about it. We'll work together on this. I know it's a new class, so not everything is figured out, and not everything is smooth. It usually takes 2 to 3 years, about 4 semesters, to polish something. It takes time. And this is the first brand new class I've created in since probably around COVID, 3 or 4 years, when I created an East Asian history class. So we're experimenting. You are the first to ever take this class at CCC. And this is like Princeton level stuff. I don't even know if Princeton has a class in history, in the humanities, on leadership. So this is like Princeton business level. So go back to number 2, communicate. Tell me what you want to know, because I haven't finalized everything. I like the idea of, in our part 3 of the class, doing popular culture, TV, movies, Fight Club and Sons of Anarchy and Pulp Fiction, and doing scenes and doing characters and doing, plays and doing movies and coaches, managers, teams, doing things that aren't just kings and queens. I like that idea. We're definitely going to do cults and terrorists, because that's dark fellowship. That's dark leadership. Like, not all leaders are nice or good to other people or even to their own followers. How do we talk about, we have to talk about Charlie Manson, right? Because like him or not, and you shouldn't like him, he was a leader of a group who were willing to kill for him. So tell me what you want to know. Inform. Not everything can be used. We have to see how it works, but I'm open to ideas. This is where, if we were in person, that presentation would be that. That presentation would be like, pick something of leadership, and maybe we'll do something with that. Maybe that will be part of it. We'll figure it out. But if we were in person, we could do a round table of these kind of things. So, and finally, have fun. Have fun. Education is fun. You will be a different person at the end of this class. You will know things you don't know at the end of this class. You will be new and shiny at the end of this class. So have fun. Get something out of it. Too many people see education as a negative, as something to be endured. You are literally making yourself a better person. Have fun doing it. Thank you very much. Be safe, and I'll see you soon.